From the Alamo City to the cutting edge of EdTech. In this episode, we are discussing Brent's visit to ISTELive25 in San Antonio. Welcome to the DIESOL podcast, where we focus on developing innovation in English as a second or other language. I'm Ixchell Reyes, English as a second or other language instructor and teacher trainer, and I'm here with Brent Warner, professor of ESL at Irvine Valley College, specializing in integrating EdTech and AI into language teaching. Brent is also a frequent speaker and TESOL blogger. He also recently launched not one, but two ESOL publications.
All
Hey,
right.
Brent.
Hey, we can I think after this episode we can stop
Overachiever.
promoting. Well, I mean, we'll talk about these things, but the promotion, the big promotions are done and everything. It's nice to be done, but yeah. How are you?
Pretty good. It's July. It's my birthday month.
Happy birthday. So exciting. And what do you want for your birthday?
World peace.
Good luck. All right. All right, so Michelle, so I was in your neck of the woods over the
You
last few
were.
days, yeah. And so made it down to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
The ISTE conference was down there, ISTE Live 25. And now it's ISTE ASCD. So I don't know how many different ways to
Yeah.
say the name of this conference, whatever else it is, but it's the big one. It's the big one. So yeah, I got a little chance to hang out, and the book was launched, and the book came through ISTE and all those things, and so yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah. A few of us got a preview at the book launch, which if you happen to miss it, that's not a problem. You can catch it on YouTube and we'll link the video in the show notes.
Yeah, and big thanks to everybody who came out
Mm-hmm.
to the launch. One, I mean, the people who came to watch it, of course, is great, and also the presenters. I mean, everybody, Michelle, just like
Yeah.
had such
Got
rad
mm-hmm.
ideas. So we had so much cool stuff going on. You helped out there. Sarah Davila helped out. Ed Campos, Kate Tolnai, Denise Lowe. I mean, and everybody
It
just
was
kind of gave
great.
short, little, quick, useful ways to
Mm-hmm.
use tech with language learners. And so, even if you're not interested in the book or in the toolkit, it still I think was really useful. So please feel free to
Absolutely.
check it out.
Okay, so Iste, San Antonio. I didn't get to go this year. I was in Denver last year,
Hmm.
but of course things happen so quickly, especially with technology. And I'm curious, what were some noteworthy sessions? Were you in any sessions? What new tools did you find? What new
Yeah.
connections did you make? Tell us everything.
I mean, there's way too much to kind of say
Yep.
everything. So, uh, if you have never been to ISTE before, it is overwhelming. I mean, like really,
Mm-hmm.
like I am. I'm likely to say it's kind of too much. Like it is
Mm-hmm.
intense, and so if you are a person who kind of gets, you know, exhausted by a little overstimulation, it's definitely going to exhaust you
Yeah.
quite
Is this
quickly.
like TESOL times five?
Oh my God, way more than that. I mean,
More
it's
than
just
that.
massive. And then like
Yeah.
you walk into the exhibitors hall and it's just like
Oh, that's just like
bright
a
lights everywhere and
playground.
a million screens and people all over the place. I mean, it is a massive, massive event. And so anyways, just kind of to be aware that it's a big deal. It's a big thing and you kind of have to plan and have your decent walking shoes ready to go for everything. But went to it. Yeah, so a few sessions. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'll talk about a
Hmm.
handful. So I was invited kind of last minute to join a panel. It was AI meets the science of reading, and that turned out to be a really great session. My part is fine, I guess, but actually the co-presenters who were talking really shared a lot of interesting parts about like real interesting ideas on how to improve reading, really what the science of it actually says, and then using AI to make those things happen. one. And so it was really great. And while I was talking to someone else, one of the other co-presenters, an audience member came up and said, thank you so much for this session. You guys filled my cup, or maybe she said y'all filled
Oh.
my cup. I'm not sure if it's a Texas thing, but like when you get that kind of feedback, it's really nice because it's like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the part of the conversation that people are actually looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really nice about reading, about AI tools, and then another one. So one of the co-presenters on that was this woman named Kathleen Beachboard, and she does this whole thing around the science of hope. And so it's, I'm not sure, I don't know, this is all new to me, but it's called,
Mm-hmm.
she was calling it hopeology, and she's like, people will dismiss it like really quickly, but we actually need to talk about it. And it was fascinating because she had this session, her own second session, that was really focused on this. It was called Improved Motivation, Engagement, and Achieving Using Hope Neuroscience. And so that whole thing was just outstanding because it was basically talking about the idea that hope is, scientifically speaking, it is a buildable skill. It's not something that you either just have or don't have, or is as is, right? It's something you can actually build with time and with effort. And so so people can learn to be more hopeful. We can also learn,
Not to
to
kill
be,
people's hope.
yeah, well, and we can learn the other way. We can learn
Yeah.
to lose hope too, right? And
Yeah.
so, but it was very fascinating because she was also talking about the idea that it's not just, soft sciences. There's actually like gray matter in the brain can grow or shrink depending on how hopeful you are, and they do all these, it was just fascinating. So then she's talking about
Wow.
the idea of applying that to your classes, and there's research that shows how, if you rearrange your students, and if you have your seating charts where there are hopeful students together with less hopeful students, that they can boost each other's
Mm-hmm.
growth. And so it'll improve attendance, it'll improve GPAs, or outcomes, or all these things, and like measurably, like up to 10% or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it was just fascinating. And so I was like,
That
oh,
is
okay, I
fascinating.
really want to learn more about that. And so anyways, she provided about 10 million pages of resources on everything as well.
We
So
like that. We like that
yeah,
here at Diesel.
yeah, and she's got a book too, so I'll put the link to that book as well in there. But that was really really interesting, and I
Oh,
enjoyed,
Hopeology.
yeah, I enjoyed that session.
All right, so let's shift a little bit more toward AI because that's just what we're inundated by. But
Mm-hmm.
were there any presentations or discussions specifically focused on AI's role in ESOL instruction? I know that's something that we're always monitoring, right? So
Yeah,
what was your
yeah.
experience?
There were a few. It was cool. So last time I went to ISTE, which was a few years ago, because I was out of the country last year. So, and when
Mm-hmm.
you went, and then so when it was in New Orleans, I was kind of disappointed that there were so few multilingual learner stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so this time it was a whole category. And as I looked through the sessions, I had to learn to be a little bit discerning, because it seems like maybe people just picked it as an option, saying, "Oh yeah, this could also apply to multilingual learners."
Mm-hmm.
But there were more sessions that were about language learners and helping them out. In particular, one was that I went to was. Kelly, I think it's Lechner and Brittany Moreno, and they did one called AI powered language dives. Ishel, are you familiar with language dives as a concept?
No, this is new to me.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly clear. I didn't know this terminology either, or exactly what it was or what it meant. But basically, like, language dives are when you take like a single sentence, and and then you do a really deep academic dive on that sentence, right? So actually, what they were
Mm-hmm.
doing was they were taking sentences from textbooks that their multilingual learners maybe were doing in like a science class, or maybe were doing in something else, and then they would do a real academic breakdown of that single sentence, which takes quite a lot, because it's like, okay, what are the key vocabulary words that you have to understand here? How are they working in relationship to each other? What's the grammar? And then
Mm-hmm.
it would also do like, let's build some DOK level 1, level 2, level 3 questions about this sentence, right? So do you understand what it means? Then like,
What's
how do you,
DOK?
the depth of knowledge, right? So they have all
Oh, got it.
those depth of knowledge levels where it's like, the first level is just like kind of regurgitation of facts, two is applications of these skills, right? So some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so so it was fascinating. And basically then they were saying, well, how, this is something that we used to like to do, but it just took so much time, because essentially on a single sentence you would be building out like this 2 pages worth of activities, trying to learn the vocabulary, do all these things. And they're like, it just takes so much time. But of course, with AI, if you just go in and feed it in and say like, "Hey, here's the sentence. Help me build a sentence dive on this," and then you can really play around with that and give a lot of the work to the students, the autonomy, the exploration, all these kinds of things. So I did like that. I thought it was really useful. So if language
Mm.
dives,
Language dive.
yeah, so worth checking out if you haven't. And there's resources out there online for that. And then one that I didn't get to, but I wanted to. So I I overslept on I guess it was Tuesday because I so finally the jet lag of the 2 hour jet lag caught up with me, and then on Monday night and Tuesday, so I was like, I woke up and
2 hour jet lag.
it's a real, I mean, you come to California sometimes, you come back and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's like throws you off, right, in a weird way. And so so anyways, I missed this session, but Barbara Culata, who is I guess the mother of
Mm-hmm.
Richard Culata, who's the CEO of Iste, uh, she did this one called enhancing and intensifying early literacy instruction through digital media. I was like, I really wanted to see it, and then I found out, I had talked to her a little bit, and she was like, had this history of working with language learners and traveling around the world and all these different things. And so I was like, I really wanted to go see it. So this is one that I'm going to go back into. If you did go to ISTE, I think you should be able to go in and watch the recorded sessions. And I believe hers was a recorded session, so I'm going to check that out later.
Hmm. Yeah, so we don't file it under things I wanted to do at ISTE but didn't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's endlessly there. There's just so much going on.
Okay, and where did you notice any future trends at ISTE? I know that's where I usually get all of my ideas for what might be happening.
Hmm.
Anything that's impacting, particularly ESOL, like within the next 3 to 5 years. What were the discussions like in terms of policy or how people were?
Well, policy is madness right now. I mean, obviously, I think if we're looking at the all the mandates coming out, whatever else it is, I don't even know. Like honestly, it just needs a little breathing room, because it's so messy with what's going
Mhm.
on. Uh, but I think the big thing that was going on with a lot of the AI stuff was, and I'm not gonna say 3 to 5 years. I'm gonna say 6 months to 6 months and
Mhm.
less, is like the there was a lot of the organizations were really working on the agent type conversation, where you build out like a
Their
single
little.
purpose,
Mhm.
little AI thing that does one thing that the students can then work with and interact with. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but like Google was doing that with Gemini, Claude is doing that with AI, with Claude AI, or Anthropic, I guess, is the company.
Mhm.
Microsoft is doing, I mean, basically every company is like, oh, we want to have these little places for people to go in and just focus in on the one thing at that time. And so I think that's going to be a an area that continues to grow.
Cool. We'll have to revisit and see what happens in 6 months.
We'll definitely be talking about that soon because we've
Yeah,
got some ones to explore. So.
yeah. Um, so I was not at ISTE and I was having big ISTE FOMO. So for other teachers who couldn't attend or maybe couldn't afford, because it is pretty pricey,
It's pricey,
what
yeah.
could you tell them? Because I know that I feel like I'm left behind every time I miss a big event like this. And I learn a lot from you and from my colleagues who share, but what message could you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're really just interested in the the content and like picking up some ideas and things like that. There's so much that people are offering online and sharing, like on LinkedIn or on YouTube or, wherever else it is that you go and get a little bit of your personal training. So on that side, I wouldn't worry too much, because if you really want to chase it down, you can chase it down. The part that is unique, of course, is like the in-person meeting with everybody, the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to chat and talk to everyone. So a couple different things you can do. One, if you're in the area, of course, you don't have to get the full pass. You get like the exhibitors hall pass and go, if you just wanted to go into the exhibitors hall and check those things out and talk to people there. You could do a lot of socializing. And then there are, a lot of these events also, they or these organizations, the companies that are in the vendor halls, then they have parties afterwards, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you could theoretically kind of just show up, not really do sessions, but you could still have a
Gosh.
good time and do a little vacation and mix in your own things if you wanted to. But there's just a lot online as well. So I mean, yes, going is great, but two, going is also overwhelming, and so you just kind of have to balance out what you're available for.
Yeah, and I think many of the presenters, you see little snippets of what they might be presenting right before ISTE, right? Because they want you to
Mm-hmm.
be aware. But post ISTE, a lot of them will share even more snippets, so you
Yep.
can pick up on little activities, or but like it's bite-sized PD, right? A
Yeah.
lot of it goes on Instagram or on YouTube. So,
Well, also, my guess is, if you go in and I think you can look at the session descriptions without even
mm-hmm,
being enrolled to go.
right.
My guess is that most of them, if you reached out to that teacher or presenter directly, they would probably share their slide deck with you. If you just said, "Hey, I wasn't able to make it, I was really
Mm-hmm,
interested," most people that I know are very happy to share,
mm-hmm.
as long as you catch them in the right moment. Sometimes I get these emails and I'm like, oh, I'm just not looking at, or I'm out and I'm about, and then I happen to see it on my phone, and then I forget about it later. But anyways, I mean that there's some reasons why it might not come through, but I would say like 85 to 90% of people that you email to say, hey, would you share, they would probably say yes.
Yeah. And I noticed a lot of people posing with your book on IG, on Instagram, and I got my own too. I have my own copy now. Thank you.
Yay.
But if teachers weren't at ISTE, where could they get your new book and or the toolkit?
So the official, like
Mm-hmm.
the launch and the bonuses are over at
Yeah.
this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the book is still available, of course, at iste.org. You can go to the bookstore, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, I think, anything, anywhere that you wanted to get it. And the toolkit is I mean, it's available at tesol.org/ELT-toolkit. That is a digital resource, right? And so you have to log in to go access it. But yeah, both of them are always going to be available at iste.org or tesol.org.
All right. So Brent, do you have a most fun memory of ISTE or San Antonio or both?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of fun little things that happen
Choose
there.
one.
I'm gonna save it for my fun find. So let's
Okay.
let's come back to that. All right, so we do have a mailing list, everybody. So if you would like to join it, you can go to diesel.org and get yourself signed up. Finally, with the launch, we've been a little bit more active about making sure that emails are coming out and things are happening. And so I think I'm going to try to be more proactive about making sure people know what's going on. There is a lot happening and a lot to share. And so if you would like to get on the mailing list, please feel free to join us over at diesel.org.
All right, Brent. So, as you mentioned, the vendor hall is a whole experience in itself, and I that's like one of my favorite places to go. But I often have to step back because it's so overwhelming. Paint a picture. Tell us about it.
Yes. So it's interesting, right? The vendor hall it's basically a commercial, right? I mean, it's like a commercial for all these things. But it's totally fun, right? Like there's just interesting things to see, all
Yeah,
sorts of little
the
giveaways, swag, all
the
those
brain
things.
pop guy. You can go take a picture
Yeah.
with the little brain pop guy.
So I saw someone walking. I'm sure she worked for them, but near the Brain Pop booth, she had on a denim jacket with a bedazzled Brain Pop guy on her jean jacket. Like it was so.
That's awesome. Or the
It,
Cammy has a cat, I think.
yeah, they've all
I
got
don't
things going
They're
on.
little
So
mascots.
Yeah. So vendor hall, huge. Here I will have my little gripe with the vendor hall, which was essentially they kind of clustered all the major vendors together in the middle, and those are the ones that have like the big open spaces, the walk around experiences, like massive, they have like seats out for everybody to go and watch their
Yeah,
big
it's like a
presentations
little,
on a.
yeah, it's like a little workshop happening, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With
And so these things, so the vendors that, probably pay quite a lot, I guess, to go do those things are in the center. So that's like, Microsoft, Adobe, right? Some of, Epson, some of these types of companies. But I didn't like that layout because it essentially doesn't encourage people to go to the outside. And so then it was like all the smaller vendors were wrapping around it. So it was almost like a castle
the
type of
have
layout.
and the have
Yeah, I
nots.
mean, it really was kind of like that.
What?
And so then when you're in the other sessions, it was like nobody was, or not sessions, but when you're going to these smaller booths, it's like nobody's around. And I'm like, come on, you
Hmm.
guys. So what I was thinking is that they would do so much better to have a setup that's kind of like a mall, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
when you go to a mall, there's like flagships on the ends
Hmm.
and then spaced out throughout. And that encourages people to walk by and see what else is going on in the other places, right? But here it was all just like, okay, you're definitely going to go check out Google and Microsoft and whatever, right? But are you going to go check out I talked to some of these people from the French delegation and it was like way off to the side and like nobody had any, there's no incentive to necessarily go and look at it unless you're just kind of doing your own exploring. So I didn't love that layout. And
Hmm.
I will say uh, I think they were aware of layout problems because the vendor halls are so big. So they did have like these things where they would give you like different types of maps depending on what you're interested in exploring. So they would give you a map. It's like, oh, I'm into literacy. And it's like, oh, here are the different vendors you might want to go check out. Or I'm into, hidden gems. And here are the ones that you might want to go check out. But it's still like just kind of a map of all the places in different spots around. And so I would love to see a more thoughtful layout set up for the fall.
Excellent. Did you do any presentations for any of the vendors?
I did, yeah, I did for Moat. As you know, I've loved Moat
Yeah.
all this time.
Yeah.
And Moat was really kind. They had a smaller booth set up over there. And I did a couple talks for them. And they did some giveaways of the book and everything like that. But it was nice. So I shared a little bit there. Had a few people coming through and checking those things out. So that was kind of cool to be able to talk with people in the hall and share a little bit. But Moat was the only one this time around. But a couple other ones that I did go check out, bigger vendors. I mean, you
Hmm.
can't really talk about this without saying like, "Hey, Gemini," right? Like, and
That's
again, we'll,
everywhere.
yeah. I mean, it was like, oh my God, Google really has done this big explosion on
Hmm.
kind of they're trying to now like pushing more things into education, probably putting up competition with a lot of the
Hmm.
companies who had been, using the wraparound services on top of ChatGPT. But yeah, so Gemini, there was a lot of cool stuff, and we will talk about this in the future. But if you go back and watch that launch party video and watch Sarah's part, which was she was the first presentation around using Gemini to kind of build these little mini apps that students can work with. Uh, they were doing a lot of that conversation inside of there, and it's like, what can you do to customize? What can you do to build? And it's not just back and forth with text. It's like, hey, build me flashcards, and it's like, boom, here you go. Here's a bunch of flashcards, and it's all built in ways that are going to increase learning and cycle through in ways that help you understand. So it's like I did talk to a couple of the Gemini people, and they're like really trying to make sure that like learning standards and pedagogy is built into like what they're doing with those things. So
Hmm.
that was kind of cool. Um, Microsoft.
The other
Microsoft
big
is
one.
there. Yeah, the other big one. So, the biggest thing, so Microsoft is doing some of those same things. They're doing lots of cool
Hmm.
stuff. But the thing that I was actually most happy about is, for quite a while, they've had reading coach and reading progress and
Hmm.
speaking coach, which are these things where students can read a passage and then it kind of tracks them and tracks their work and kind of gives them feedback on those things. those are tools that I've worked with a bit and I've been excited about it, but Microsoft has always wanted to push those through Teams, right? It's like, oh, it's got to be
Mm-hmm.
in Teams, it's got
Mm-hmm.
to be in, it's like, and it's like, come on, you
Ooh.
guys, Teams sucks, right? Sorry, but it does suck. And so, but now they are doing it where it integrates into Canvas or into other LMS, like they had like
Mhm.
Schoology, and so by the end of summer or mid fall, they said they're going to be ready to have all of those tied in. So that'll be a big add for me. I even have a couple of activities in the book that talk about some of those, and so just being able to click a button and have it right in there should be good. Um, and the last one, Adobe. So
Those are the
Adobe,
three big ones,
yeah,
man.
I mean,
Google, Microsoft, Adobe.
yeah, yeah. And so Adobe is doing all this super cool stuff around creativity and AI stuff. And I actually am going
Hmm.
to totally do a re-dive back into Adobe Express and Adobe for Education.
Yeah,
They've
we
they've
have to.
really
It's
restructured.
changed so
It's
much. Yeah,
changed a
I don't
lot.
even
And
know what I can do with it anymore.
yeah, I was talking to a couple people who are like, okay, let me, like this is what I'm doing, and they're talking
Hmm.
about recording. So there's like a whole like podcast-ish thing that people are doing inside of there with like very low onboarding. So just
Hmm.
clicking to record and get going with everything. But then they had this really cool option where you could record yourself talking, and then you could click a button and you could have it animate your voice on top of these characters. So you could be like this.
Hmm.
I actually have a little sticker that they gave here, so it's like they have this. You can see this here, Shell. It's like a little
Yeah.
pencil, like cartoon
Hmm.
character pencil. But like as soon as it puts your voice in it, then it starts moving its
It
mouth
starts
to talk and
moving. Oh,
match up
that's
with your
so
thing.
cool.
So, and then you can set the backgrounds and do all these kinds of things. So I'm like, oh, okay. There's a lot that like language learners would really feel connected to this because one, they don't necessarily have to show their face, but they could use their
Right.
voice to talk about things, and then they could see themselves moving and being in part of these actions. So I really want to do some more exploration around Adobe stuff.
Awesome. We'll definitely have to do that in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, it is time for our fun finds, and mine is the F1 movie. I am not really a Brad Pitt fan, but I love cars and I love racing. And it's a 2 hour and 47-minute film. And on a work night, I went and I did not fall asleep. It
Hey,
was so good. If you know me in movies, I tend to fall asleep for 10 minutes and
yeah.
then wake
Every
up
every time
after.
every time we talk about movies, you're like, what? And there's like, probably you've seen it, you just slept through it.
So
Uh,
F1 movie is a good choice.
nice. Okay, cool.
What is yours?
So mine is going to tie back to the favorite memory of our time in Texas. You and I went to Bucky's.
Like these at
So
like
if
11 p.m.
yeah, like 11 p.m. after I landed. So we went down or up. I don't know, over to Bucky's. If you don't know what
We went
Bucky's
up.
is, up. It's a gas station. I mean, that's what Bucky's is, right? It's like a
The
7-Eleven
little
AM
beaver.
PM
Yeah.
equivalent on a gas station. It is giant. And so if you've driven around other parts of the States, you've probably seen signs. We have one actually
The
out in
little
Palm
beaver.
Springs. Yeah, it's a
The little
beaver.
beaver.
And they're the beaver logo. And so, but it's, I mean, it's a gas station, so I don't know what more to
It's
say
rated
about that.
number 1 in the United States. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
number
Fun
one gas
fact.
station. Yeah.
The
Tons of
cleanest toilets.
it was nice. It was clean. And the little cute Bucky the Beaver souvenirs were all over the place. But it was just kind of cool. I mean, it's basically in my thought it was like almost like a mini Costco where they've got like all these things that's like their branded versions of things out for sale for cheap. But then you kindly got me a what was it, a brisket sandwich or something like
Yeah,
that.
the brisket sandwich. They've
Yeah,
got
which
really good food, like good uh gas station freshly prepared food.
yeah, yeah. So it's like it's a culture that's a little different, but I enjoyed it, and anyways, it was fun. So we went to Bucky's, and I think that was a nice, totally non-related thing, but a Texas experience nonetheless.
All right. For the show notes and other episodes, check out diesel.org/122. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram at dieselpod.
You can find me out there on the socials at Brent G Warner.
And you can find me mostly out there at Ixie_Pixie. That's IXY_PIXY. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.